It hung for centuries in quiet reverence, a scene of judgment, a Christ stripped of power, paraded before the mob. Titian called it Ecce Homo, behold the man. But when experts looked beneath the paint, something emerged. Not a forgery, not a repair, but another composition, another vision, abandoned, buried and forgotten. Why did he start over? What was he trying to erase? This isn't just a painting. It's a palimpsest of genius, doubt, and something Titian never meant for us to see. To understand Ecce Homo, we have to understand the man behind the brush. Tiziano Vecellio, known to the world as Titian, was not just a painter. He was a force of nature. Born around 1488 in a small alpine town called Pieve di Cadore, he would rise to become the undisputed master of Venetian painting. In his lifetime, he painted emperors, popes, mythological gods, grieving mothers, and tortured saints. But what sets Titian apart wasn't just his command of color. It was how he made oil paint feel alive. Skin that breathes, eyes that accuse, silence that roars. By the time he painted Ecce Homo, he wasn't just a painter, he was a myth in his own time, sought after by kings, feared by rivals, and trusted to depict the most sacred and the most dangerous subject of the Renaissance. But what's strange is who asked him to paint this? No one knows exactly who commissioned this painting. For decades, scholars believed it was Guidobaldo II, Duke of Urbino, a powerful patron with deep ties to Titian. A 1566 letter from an art agent named Agathon even mentions that a Christ painting had been finished by Titian's own hand, allegedly destined for the Duke. But here's the twist, the letter never calls it an Ecce Homo, just Christ. And while several Guidobaldo inventories describe a painting of this type, nothing links them to the Ecce Homo we see today. Ecce Homo was not a rarity in Titian's studio. He painted this scene more than once. The most famous earlier version, created in 1543, now lives in Vienna. That one was commissioned by a wealthy merchant, Giovanni d'Anna, a man who wanted not just Christ, but the moment Christ was sold to the crowd. A moment of spectacle, not salvation. But why this scene? Why did Renaissance patrons want to bring this moment into their homes? Maybe because it's not a painting about miracles. It's about choices, power, cowardice, spectatorship. A reminder that Christ wasn't condemned by tyrants, but by silence, by people who looked and did nothing. The painting is smaller than you'd expect, just over half a meter tall, and yet this Ecce Homo by Titian feels enormous in emotional weight. Not because of grandeur, but because of discomfort. Here, Christ isn't placed on a lofty stage or before a roaring crowd. He is closed, cramped, pressed against the edge of the canvas, as if there is no space left for dignity. On the right, a man in a luxurious fur-lined robe gestures toward him. His face is heavy, his gaze unfocused. This is Pontius Pilate, or perhaps a stand-in for every authority figure who chooses political convenience over justice. He doesn't point, he doesn't look at Christ. He simply raises a hand as if to say, "You decide, I wash my hands." Beside him, a smirking figure ties cords around Christ's wrists. Look closely at that grin. It's not theatrical malice. It's familiarity, intimacy. He seems disturbingly modern, almost playful, like he knows this moment is a performance. And at the center of it all, Christ, bare-chested, crowned with thorns, his eyes cast down, arms crossed in resigned patience. In his left hand, he holds the reed scepter, the mock symbol of kingship. But notice something odd. The reed is positioned like a weapon, but passive. A false sword for a false accusation. Around his wrists, What at first appears to be a delicate bracelet is, in fact, a cord. Held firmly by the figure on the left, it's not jewelry, it's restraint. A quiet but brutal gesture. The figure doesn't pull violently. He tightens it casually, almost intimately, as if Christ's suffering were a ritual, rehearsed. Either way, it adds to the ambiguity. Was he adorned or restrained? Why did modern researchers turn their gaze toward this quiet, late-period Titian? The answer lies in one word: uncertainty. The St. Louis Art Museum wanted to dive deep into Titian's late materials and methods to understand his final creative process. The painting was known to be unfinished. The brushwork in the torchlit upper corner looked sketchy, the edges seemed tentative, and that invited curiosity. So in 2020, the Cyprus Institute's Andreas Pitta's Art Characterization Laboratories, APAC, took the lead. They were mapping every crack, every pigment layer, every shimmer of surface wear. At first it was routine, but then, through microscopic fissures in the craquelure, strange colors peeked out, tiny spots of red and green that didn't belong in Christ's torment. A ghostly outline, tilted upside down, photographed under X-ray, it formed into an actual figure. They had uncovered another painting. The researchers were stunned. This wasn't accidental. This wasn't a touch-up. This was Titian. According to Nicholas Bakirtzis, flipping the canvas upside down allowed Titian to neutralize the earlier image visually. Then, paint the new composition directly on top, smoothly, confidently. He reused the material, effectively erasing one man's story to create another. If you believe art shouldn't be hidden away in a museum vault or under layers of paint, but should be a part of your daily life, then this is for you. On our website, you'll find museum-quality prints of the world's greatest artists, curated by period, by painter, by story. From canvases to t-shirts, tote bags, and mugs, each piece lets you carry art into your everyday life. Click the link below and start building your own gallery, one masterpiece at a time. So, who is the man beneath Christ? X-rays reveal a sharply defined portrait, painted with care and detail. A middle-aged man in a black doublet, trim mustache. His hand rests on a table, holding a quill. Behind him, a stack of books or ledgers. His gaze is turned, self-assured, professional. He's not a saint, not a sinner, not symbolic. He is real. And here lies the mystery. Was the portrait a private commission that fell through? Was the sitter a man of political power who fell from favor? Or was this simply a practical decision? Titian reusing an old canvas during a time of crisis, when materials were scarce and Venice was ravaged by plague? We'll likely never know. But the symbolism is haunting. Because now, this Ecce Homo becomes more than just a depiction of Christ before the crowd. It's a painting where one man is literally buried beneath another. A nameless bureaucrat replaced by a suffering messiah. A ledger exchanged for a reed. And strangely, the two men share a space. Christ's agony rests on the ghost of a forgotten official. Their story is fused, not by history, but by oil, canvas, and time. Beneath every masterpiece, something is always hiding, and sometimes it's hell itself. Discover how Gustave Doré gave Dante's Inferno its most terrific face in the next video. The Doré video is what's next, but the history of art is endless, and your curiosity is what guides this channel. If there's another art mystery you want me to investigate, let me know below. I read everything. Your suggestion might just become a future episode. Thank you for watching.